Welcome to the channel and welcome to today's run through of all the latest Manchester United news and transfer updates, keeping you right up to date with everything. So we've got a bit of a blow for Liam Delap as he's chosen Chelsea. 4 more signings after Matheus Cunha. Reports Matt Hargreaves is speaking to Napoli about a potential swap deal. The hold-up for Mbeumo, Mainoo contract talks, what Berrada said about the transfer plans, all this coming up in a packed video that will keep you right up to date with everything. I'm Jamie. Before we get into it, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Let's jump straight into it. So let's kick off with the Liam Delap news, which is literally breaking at the time of recording this video. So firstly, I'll go back to last night. So Ben Jacobs said that Chelsea are closing in on a move for Liam Delap after positive talks. Manchester United's lack of European football has weakened their position. Romano said that Chelsea keep pushing for Liam Delap. Man United and Chelsea have the most interested in him. At the moment, Chelsea are working on a deal as a priority. Enzo Maresca is a big fan of him. And then we've literally just had David Ornstein come out as I sat down to press record, saying that clubs who were linked with Liam Delap has now been informed that he will join Chelsea this summer. So Liam Delap not coming to Manchester United. He's chosen Chelsea, probably got like an 8-year contract or something like that regarding Chelsea. But, it's annoying because it's another one of our transfer targets that they've stolen after Giovanni Kenda, and it just keeps happening. We are terrible. We always lose to Chelsea in the transfer market, and this was one of my fears that I said weeks ago when it comes to Delap and Chelsea. We always lose out on transfers to Chelsea, and this is another one, which I do think is a bit of a blow for the club, because he has always been seen as their top priority, their number one striker priority that we've known about for months. It's always been Liam Delap, so I do think it is a blow for the club. Personally, I'm not that bothered. I think there's plenty of fish in the sea when it comes to the striker kind of position. I do see the benefit of Liam Delap, though, young, up and coming, homegrown, good price, and I think more about the price was one of the reasons why United were heavily pursuing him. £30 million for a player when that ticks that kind of boxes is a bit of an opportunity in the market for the club. But personally, I'm not really that particularly bothered as long as we go and we have a plan. And Omar Berrada has been talking about his transfer plan. I'm going to bring you an update on that in a bit as well. And, it is what it is. So I do think it's a blow for the club because they clearly prioritise Liam Delap. Personally, I'm not particularly bothered. I've got to be real. I don't necessarily think, I kind of think we do need a bit more experience up front. We've gone for these kind of younger profile of players, and it hasn't really worked out in the past for us as well. I just think we need to get somebody that knows where the back of the net is and can command a bit of something from the rest of the players around him to demand the ball and make sure that they're giving him the ball at the right times and stuff. I think that's what we're kind of crying out for personally, but obviously we know that they don't come cheap. And I'll run through some more updates on strikers in a second. Yeah, so I do think it's a blow for the club. Personally, I'm not that bothered, but let me know your thoughts, your opinions. Do you think that is a big blow for the club? Do you think it is, or do you think now we should just kind of move on? The only thing is the reason why Delap was always seen as, not the only reason, but one of the reasons is because we have the money to go for him. So we know we've got the money to go for Cunha and Delap. That's why we were prioritising them, because we knew we could get them done nice and early if we could. Obviously, he's decided to go to Chelsea. That's up to him. Wish him all the best. But now where do we go? So we'll have to kind of wait and see what happens from here. But it's going to be fascinating because, a lot of the striker talk has kind of died down recently because we've been waiting for the Delap decision. Now we've got the Delap decision. Let's see what they're about. Let's see what these best-in-class people in scouts and, Jason Wilcox and Omar Berrada, let's see what plan they actually do have. Because if they've not come up with an alternative to Liam Delap, then we might be in trouble, but one would like to assume that they have. But we'll bring you any updates when they come out. But give us your thoughts on the Liam Delap situation in the comments below. Now, another striker that we've been linked with for a while, but again, it's gone a bit quiet recently. There was like a time where I was doing almost a daily Osimhen update, but there's been another story coming from a Italian outlet that's quite close to Napoli as well, saying that United's director of football negotiations, Matt Hargreaves, was recently in Naples to hold a meeting with Napoli's sporting director, Giovanni Manna, and club president, Areola De Laurentiis. The main topic of discussion was surrounding the possibility of United signing Osimhen this summer, with the club now seriously interested. Napoli would be open to a deal involving Rasmus Højlund plus around £33 million for him. Now, we know swaps don't happen in football, so when it mentions a swap, I would say straight away take it with a pinch of salt. But it would effectively be we would purchase Osimhen for £33 million, and they would purchase Rasmus Højlund, or we would purchase him for, I don't know, 53, and then they would purchase Rasmus Højlund for 20. So when it says swap, it's not actually just a direct swap or anything. There's still two purchases, which is the way they'll get around it with FFP. Which would be an interesting one, but that would be plausible for me, right? If it wasn't for the fact that Ornstein, Romano, and everybody like that has linked us, that has spoken about Victor Osimhen, is the main issue with Osimhen is his salary. He wants like the same as what he's on now, which I think is about £12 million after tax, which works out for us around 350 grand a week. And nobody, like even Chelsea and the reports were that nobody in the Premier League wants to pay those sort of figures for a salary. Most clubs are trying to reduce their salary bill because of PSR rules, because it helps you spend more money in the transfer market if your wage bill is under control, and that sort of thing is what we're trying to avoid. And that's always been the problem with Osimhen, because actually the reports are that maybe he would want to come. And he's not necessarily bothered so much about Champions League. It's the salary. It's the salary that is the problem. And he's being linked with Saudi Pro League as well, who are offering, we've seen the Bruno Fernandes news where they've offered him like £700,000 a week and stuff. So, it would be on paper, a good kind of solution all around, because they get rid of Osimhen that they want to get rid of. We get rid of Hojlund that we're apparently wanting to get rid of as well. We upgrade our striker position. He's a great option, but swap deals just generally don't happen. So I'm going to wait for a bit more credibility personally on that one. But yeah, give us your thoughts on the Osimhen deal. Give us your thoughts on that one. I mean, like I said, on paper, yep, great. Højlund, like if you're playing FIFA, then this would be the perfect deal to kind of do. But football reality is not FIFA, and it's a lot harder of a deal to kind of do as well. But like I said, the main thing with Osimhen is the salary. It's the salary that's the reason why a lot of teams are not going for him. Plus, he's probably got a ridiculous offer available from the Saudi Pro League as well. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Now, on Rasmus Højlund, so Nico, who was very good when it came to, he was the first journalist, if you remember, that broke the done deal for Matheus Cunha news, like a day before as well, has suggested that Juventus are among the clubs which are monitoring Manchester United's Rasmus Højlund. First talks with his agent, which are at work to move the striker this summer. So there is more and more interest, it seems like, from Syria involving Rasmus Højlund, which all signs are, we're definitely going to be getting a striker. We know that anyway, and especially if you're selling Højlund or loaning him back, or, if there's interest or there's talks with his agent going back to Italy and stuff, then, we've got to be getting somebody in as well. It's just a case of who, now that we obviously know we're not getting Liam Delap, who do the club kind of turn to next? Could it be Osimhen? Could that report be true? Because it did come out before the Liam Delap news. Carreras is still on the table as well. Another striker that we've been linked with, though, from Bild, who are a good German source, is Sesko. So Manchester United are interested in signing Benjamin Sesko from RB Leipzig. Manchester United director Christopher Vivell watched Sesko in action last month, and he knows the player well, having signed him for RB Salzburg when he was 16 years old. Apparently Arsenal were quite interested though in Sesko, but then apparently Arsenal were quite interested in Carreras as well. So it could be, if Arsenal go for Sesko, does that mean the door's open for Carreras? Would he want to come? Like, so many question marks as well. It's actually going to be a bit more exciting, I think, the news coming out over the next few days regarding transfers and stuff, because who do we turn to now? Because the striker situation's gone a little bit kind of quiet, because we were obviously going for Delap, and now that we're not, who are we going to go for next? Well, I'll bring you any updates. But yeah, it's going to be interesting actually to see who our next kind of target is. But give us your thoughts on the striker situation in the comments. Now, one of the other players that we're kind of linked with heavily recently is Mbeumo. So the Muppeteers were saying that United need to understand Delap's decision to resolve the striker situation to compete for Mbeumo. They have a strong interest, but are currently behind Newcastle, who are more willing to make an appealing offer with Champions League football. So again, this came out last night from the Muppeteers. So that's going to be interesting to see. Well, do we now go for Mbeumo as a priority now that we've missed out on Liam Delap? Because the belief is that we were waiting for Delap's decision because we don't quite have the budget now to go for Mbeumo ahead of Delap, and we were prioritising a striker, but now we've missed out on Delap. Do we now prioritise Mbeumo and then worry about the striker further down the line when we've got sales? Because the kind of reports are that we wanted Cunha and Delap because we've got the money to go and do that, and then we were interested in Mbeumo, but we have to sell players in order to buy Mbeumo, and because of that kind of delay, because we need exits first, that puts Newcastle in a stronger position because they've got the money to just go and buy Mbeumo. But now that we've lost out Delap, do we then maybe shift priorities and go for Mbeumo and then worry about the striker once we've sold players as well. Because if you sell Garnacho, that gives you the money to go and buy Victor Gyökeres, for example. But then we get Mbeumo in and Cunha and Mbeumo. Who knows? It's another way that United could kind of manoeuvre themselves in the transfer window. And then Luke Edwards from The Telegraph said that Newcastle are ready to make a bid for Bryan Mbeumo. United have also expressed an interest, but are currently focused on signing Cunha. And if Newcastle can move swiftly and agree a price with Brentford, they should be in pole position. So again, it's believed with Mbeumo that Newcastle are ahead of the race. United are interested, but we might be a little bit behind them as well because of obviously funding. But again, does that change our shift now that we know that we're not getting Liam Delap? Chris Wheeler said talks have taken place with representatives of Brentford's Mbeumo, who is available for around £50 million. And there are other more expensive options, including Eze, Semenyo, and Tyler Dibling as well. Tyler Dibling couldn't be ruled out as well. He's a name that keeps getting thrown around a little bit as well, but whether he's seen as the priority or not as well. But that's one player that we have been linked with multiple times. ESPN said a similar thing as well. United have looked at Eze and Mbeumo. The issue is whether they can afford and attract the player they want ahead of the season with no European football. And it is going to be like this. It is a blow. It sucks. But we need to prepare ourselves for this because there are going to be players that turn us down for Champions League football. And it is what it is. We are where we are. We've put ourselves in this position by being absolutely turd in the Europa League final. And we've only got ourselves to blame, or the players to blame, and the club and everything like that as well. But let's just hope they've got some kind of plan to work around what's kind of going on. Let's move on to some other news. So Omar Berrada, speaking specifically about the transfer plans, had the following to say: I can't talk about specifics, but I can say we've been planning for many months now. We are ready with all the different scenarios. Now we know what we need to do. We have a very clear idea of where we need to invest in the squad to improve. So Jason Wilcox, his team, and Amram have been in talks for many months, and now it's a question of executing that plan and doing it in a way that is prudent, but at the same time with ambition. So Omar Berrada saying that they've been planning for the transfer window for we know this, the two scenarios: Champions League football, non-Champions League football. But let's hope they've got a plan for backups and alternatives as well, should they miss out on their transfer targets. Now that we've missed out obviously on Champions League, and we've already missed out on Liam Delap, although we've got Cunha in because Cunha was seen as the kind of top priority. And it is what it is when it goes to it as well. But also saying doing it in a prudent fashion. So we need to be sensible with money because we are going to need to be careful with money because of the non-European football and the blow that has on our kind of transfer budget as well. But player sales can boost that up as well, which is why, and obviously we are looking to trim the squad, and we've got players that we're going to run through some exit news in a second as well. But interesting to see that Berrada said they've been planning for this scenario. So let's see your plan. Let's go and see who your alternative striker is now that Liam Delap's gone to Chelsea. That's what I'd be interested in to kind of see. Now, we understand Manchester United's plan to bring in 4 more players after finalising the Cunha deal: a striker, an additional creative attacker, and a defensive midfielder, and a goalkeeper. Now, that came from Dean Jones, who's a decent source of information as well for United. But the Muppeteer said a very similar thing as well, saying that Manchester United are hoping to make 5 summer signings: Cunha, a striker, Mbeumo, a midfielder, and a goalkeeper as well. So we obviously know we've got Cunha in. 4 more signings apparently, according to reports. After that, striker, we obviously know we need a striker. Mbeumo, if we can get him, or going off with Chris Wheeler's report, could be like Mastantuono, Tyler Dibling, Semenyo, Eze, Simmons, we've been linked with before. Cherki, although reports are, for just FYI for those for Cherki, that Man City are now in the race for Ryan Cherki, so there's another blow after the Liam Delap one for those that want us to maybe go for Ryan Cherki, because City are sniffing around that sort of deal as well. And I probably think that's about right for this window, I would say, because yes, we still need more, we still need massively improvement, but we've got to be realistic. We're not going to get everything done in one window. We know we need to sell players, and we know United are it's very hard for us to sell players because of their wages and bits like that as well. But I think if we got those sort of 5 areas strengthened, I'd be happy with that as a kind of transfer window as a minimum this window as well. But again, we'll need to see what the targets are and the budget and stuff as we kind of go on. But give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Do you agree that they should be the 5 kind of areas? Obviously, we know we've got Cunha, striker, another, it says Mbeumo, but maybe another attacking 10, midfielder, and a goalkeeper. I can kind of see that. I can see that. But yeah, give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Now, newly promoted Saudi Pro League side Neom SC are showing an interest in United goalkeeper Andrea Onana, according to the Mirror. The side is said to be willing to pay a fee of £35 million to United, as well as offer a salary of £15 million per year to Onana if he wants to join. Now, I read that in the Manchester Evening News, and the Mirror coming out with it. Did these stories not get debunked, though? Because I'm sure that there was another journalist that came out and said that this is true, and then another one followed it up then literally the next day saying, no, it's not true. But we know that Onana's, there are rumours or talk potentially of a Saudi move, but then we've had rumours that potentially he's going to stay, and maybe we're going to sell Bayindir and get a backup goalkeeper in as well. So I do think we're going to get a goalkeeper. It's just which way round it works out. Is it Bayindir leaves and then we bring in a backup or younger profile or someone to kind of compete with Onana, or does Onana go and then we bring in one like a top choice goalkeeper? We'll have to wait and see how it kind of plays out. But the reports are we do want a goalkeeper. It's just we don't want to spend money on a goalkeeper. We want to sell to buy in that situation as well. Now, on potential goalkeepers coming in, Manchester United are interested in Benfica's Anatoliy Trubin. The keeper is priced at £40 million. Now, that came from Ajogo, who are decent actually when it comes to Portuguese news and players, suggesting that we would be interested in Trubin. Not a goal. I don't follow goalkeepers, so I'm not the person to give an opinion on that as well. I think that would be over the price that we would be looking for, though. The belief is we want to, around £20 million, that kind of figure for a goalkeeper. £40 million would be if we maybe sold Onana and got that money in, and then potentially bought a kind of more expensive goalkeeper. But the belief is we want around £20 million to spend on a goalkeeper, because we don't want to spend any of our budget on it. We just want to sell, either buy into Onana and buy a goalkeeper with that particular money. So, yeah, it's another name to throw on the list as well. But I'd want to see a bit more credibility personally as well. But give us your thoughts. Let me know. Good option, bad option. I have no idea. So I'd be completely bullshitting you if I wanted to give a thought on it. Not a player that I've kind of followed or done any research on before this video, because literally the news broke about the Delap as I was sat here ready to go. Now, some other exit news then. So a meeting took place this morning between Deco and Rashford's agent. Hansi Flick has given his approval, and Barca will try to sign him on loan with an option to buy. Now, that came from a Spanish journalist that works for AS, I think it is, who are actually a good source when it comes to Spanish news and stuff. They've got like 2 million followers. The network does, not this particular journalist as well, but apparently fairly decent when it comes to Spanish kind of transfer news. Positive feelings on Marcus Rashford's side after new meeting with Barcelona, but still early stage. Club to club, United insist on £40 million. So Fabrizio Romano's confirmed that there are new meetings with Barcelona and Marcus Rashford. Obviously, the belief has always been that Rashford's preferred destination would be Barcelona. So this is starting to kind of, go down that kind of the transfer talk, negotiations and stuff. But then also the same journalist mentioned before saying that Marcus Rashford is willing to take a considerable pay cut to join Barcelona. Barcelona are looking for a loan move, with Manchester United covering a small part of his salary. Barcelona believe this would only be possible if Rashford puts pressure on United and keeps rejecting other offers. So the belief is United want to sell him. We want £40 million. We want to sell him. You don't necessarily want a loan. But that report saying that maybe Barcelona would want to do a loan with an option to buy, pay some of his wages, but not all of his wages, and they want Rashford to hold on as long as possible in order to get that done. I can see this being a saga already through the summer. I just hope there's a quick resolution to the Rashford situation, regardless of what it is. I just hope there's something happens kind of quickly regarding it. And then TalkSport said a similar thing, that Manchester United may have put Rashford on loan, may have to put Rashford on loan again, as he is willing to hold out for his dream move to Barcelona. So we're just going to have to wait and see what kind of happens. There were some other stories that I've heard around, potentially a loan with an obligation to buy for £30 million, which for next season, which actually technically might give us more in terms of PSR, but I don't know if it helps us this transfer window as well. So we're going to need to wait and see. But there is interest, it seems, from Barcelona and Rashford. There are talk that maybe Barcelona also want Diaz from Liverpool as well, though that might be difficult to get. So we'll need to kind of wait and see. But there is interest there as well. And I'll bring you any updates as they come out, but give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Benfica are now preparing to announce Alvaro Carreras' departure. He's on his way to Real Madrid, so that came from a South American journalist, which is good because that's a nice little Brucey bonus in terms of PSR and income if Alvaro goes to Real Madrid. I still think this is insane, right? That we've had a left back at the club that's going to go to Real Madrid, so clearly a good player, and someone at United decided to sell him and play Amrabat and Lindelof at left back instead. Like, I just think that's insane to me. Like, he might not have had the physicality, or you don't know, but to play Amrabat there, just to decide, oh no, let's sell Alvaro Carreras, and let's play Amrabat and Lindelof at left back for the rest of the season. What an absolute turd decision that was by someone at United. I genuinely still can't believe it. And then the final story I've got for you is regarding Mainoo and his contract. So talks over a new deal with Mainoo have dragged on for some time and no sign of a resolution. It is understood he is seeking £180,000 a week and also wants to know where he fits into Amram's system, amid concerns it could affect his England prospects. Now, I'm sure that £180,000 a week rumours have been debunked by Laurie Whitwell, saying that he's not asking for anywhere near that kind of amount. Because if he is, and I wouldn't give it, Kobbie Mainoo does not deserve £180,000 a week contract, that's for sure. And it's one of those, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? If he is asking, or his agent are asking for that sort of money, I can very much understand the club deciding, no, we're not offering you that kind of contract, because that's ridiculous, in my opinion. But apparently that has been debunked already by Laurie Whitwell, said he's not asking for those sort of fees. He is asking, obviously, for a pay rise because he's on £20,000 a week at the moment. But yeah, it's one of these, isn't it? It has gone quiet on Kobbie Mainoo's contract situation. Maybe he's having question marks around his fit for the style of play and in the system and in the team. And let's be truthful, Kobbie Mainoo hasn't had a good season this season through injuries and, a stop-start season as well. Great breakthrough season last season, very inconsistent season this season as well. He's had some good moments, some bad moments as well, and that for me does not warrant £180,000 a week contract. Kobbie Mainoo's performances this season, so I think it would be a massive mistake to give him that sort of pay rise. I don't think it's true anyway. I would take the figure in there with a pinch of salt, but the reality is his contract situation has stalled. Fabrizio Romano, though, on Give Me Sports, said that at the moment, no concrete talks taking place for Kobbie Mainoo to leave. The situation has gone quiet. Let's see if bids come in this summer. So, regardless of the contract situation as well, Romano saying that there's no concrete talks for an exit for Mainoo at the moment. Obviously, that could change. Situation could change. It's a transfer window. We don't know. No one can predict the future as well. But he's saying, let's see if bids come in the summer as well. So we'll just need to kind of keep an eye on that situation. And maybe that is what the hold-up is from Kobbie's end, where he's like, well, I don't know where I fit within the team. Where's my kind of position, because obviously that has effect on his England career and stuff like that as well, and his future kind of prospects. And then maybe the club are looking at it and saying, well, actually, you do deserve a pay rise after your performance this season as well. I would argue to say probably not, although I do think he's a talented player and I would want to keep Kobbie Mainoo. Don't get me wrong there, but how many times in the past have we given a young player a bumper contract when they haven't really performed and they haven't reached their kind of potential that deserves that sort of contract? That's the way I feel about the kind of whole situation. But again, I would take those figures with a pinch of salt, because Laurie Whitwell debunked the £180,000 a week. I think it's more like £100,000 or £120,000 a week, which is still a massive pay rise for Kobbie Mainoo. But it is what it is. It is what it is. We'll have to see how that kind of progresses. But I'll bring you any updates if they come out. Give us your thoughts on that in the comments. Give us your thoughts on all the other topics discussed in today's video, because that's you all up to date with the latest Manchester United news and updates. Smash a like on the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. See you in the next one.